new day. If not, do understand and get that your night day is going to get better once your perception gets better. And so I was here eating my little triple ginger pretzels, okay? And I'm reading this book, okay? And it's called You Are a Badass, okay? And it's such a phenomenal read. I mean, this book is really, really good. And it started, I started thinking, okay, as I came across this passage, okay. The author, she had to go buy a mattress, right? Because she was in like a bowling accident. She was bowling and she went across the line, the bowling line, whereas though you throw the bowling ball. And she slipped and fell. And she had this pain in her feet, in her foot, when she was asleep, okay? And not only when she was asleep, like throughout the day. Um, she was told by her acupuncturist for her to go, I think that's the word, her acupuncturist for her to go buy a mattress. So she gets to the store and she's there, looking at different mattresses. One of the sales guys who was helping her, um, while she was on the bed, sitting on a mattress. Hey, Miss Harden, peace here, baby, peace here, peace here. While she was there sitting on a mattress, you know how when you go to like a furniture store and you want to test out the mattress or the sofa and you pat them, you probably pat it like this, right? Like just to see like how sturdy it is or whatever. So she did that, and the sales guy, he laid down next to her on the mattress, okay? And she felt uncomfortable, but she was afraid to say anything to the sales guy. And this is what she says, okay? One second. And this could be the reason why, at times we may not speak up because of confrontation skills. We lack confrontation skills, okay? All right, wait, I'm trying to find it. But what she said, it was so profound because, sometimes you may want to say something, but you probably don't say anything. And it could be, you feel some type of way and you want to speak up, but the reason why you don't speak up is because you afraid. And it all goes back to your childhood, okay? And she goes on, she says, I obviously should have asked Freak Show. Now she's talking about the guy, the sales rep at the furniture store, at the mattress store. Freak Show Bob to get off the damn bed, or I found someone else to help me. Instead of sneaking out the door and blowing my only opportunity that week to go mattress shopping, but I didn't want to embarrass him. See, a lot of times we are more concerned about how they feel and about embarrassing them and, not hurting their feelings. But what about how you feel? What about you hurting your own your feelings being hurt? I remember, I never forget this. I remember listening to Nipsey Hussle, and I always, quote what he said. He said, "Would you prefer to go against yourself for the world, or would you prefer to go against the world for yourself?" And that's a serious question to ask, because by us tiptoeing and not speaking up, we're not doing anyone a favor. We're not doing, and the same exact thing that you feel about the situation, the circumstance that's going on, other people felt that way too. They felt that too, but they was afraid to speak up as well. Okay? And every time that you speak up, Okay, you are giving power to your voice. Remember, we have chakras. Okay, if you cannot speak, okay, for the fear of judgment, for the fear of ridicule, for the fear of whatever it is, okay, you are blocking your throat chakra. Okay, and this is what the authors go on and say. She said, I didn't want to embarrass him. This is pretty much how my family was trained to deal with any sort of potentially uncomfortable interaction, along with the feel safe method of running in the opposite direction. Other tools in our confrontation Other tools in our confrontation toolbox also included freeze, talk about the weather, go blank, and burst into tears the moment you're out of earshot. Our lack of confrontation management skills was no great surprise considering the fact that my mother comes from a long lineage of WAPs. Her parents were the types who believed that children were to be seen and not heard, and who looked upon any sort of emotional display with the same horrified disdain usually reserved for cheap Scotch and non-Ivy League educations. And even though my mother went on to create a household for us that was as warm, loving, and laughter filled as they come, it took years for me to finally learn how to form a sentence when presented with the blood chilling phrase, we need to talk. All this is to say that it's not your fault that you're effed up. It's your fault if you stay effed up. But the foundation of your effed upness is something that's been passed down through generations of your family, like a coat of arms or a killer cornbread recipe. Or in my case, equating confrontation with heart failure. When you came screaming onto this planet, you were truly a bundle of joy, a wide-eyed creature incapable of doing anything but being in the moment. You had no idea that you had a body, let alone that you should be ashamed of it. When you looked around, everything just was. There was nothing about your world that was scary or too expensive or so last year as far as you were concerned. If something came near your mouth, you stuck it in. You stuck it in. And if it came near your hand, you grabbed it. You were simply a human being. While you explored and expanded into your new world, you also received messages from people around you about the way things are. And highly recommend you get this book. But I was as I was reading this, I was thinking about my upbringing, and I like to say my family, they did the best that they knew how to do. Okay, and that's what everybody family, our families. They did the best that they knew how to do. It wasn't like something that they like, oh well, let me mess this kid life up. Okay, it wasn't like that. Okay, people could only give you what they have, and I done said that time and time again. Okay, you have to understand and get this though. Just because your family gave you something and that was the best that they could have given you or whatever, that does not excuse the fact that you could give yourself something better. Say it again, Dina. Just because your family gave you something, right? A programming, okay, and that was the best that they could have given you, okay, that does not excuse the fact that you can give yourself something much better than what you are giving yourself, okay. Yes, it's their fault for whatever it is that they've done, okay, but it's your responsibility to fix whatever it is that is no longer working in your life. Okay. You have to fix whatever is not working in your life. And you can tell what's not working in your life. Just look at your results. Okay. But it put me in the mind, you know, when I was growing up, if you ever was to say something back, it was called disrespect, right? So say for instance, if your mother said, whatever, and you like, but why? If you ask too many questions, it was considered disrespect. If you question the authority, it was sort of like, you don't do that in this household. So you just go with the flow. And that is why, okay, we tend to not question things because we've been programmed not to question them. Okay. And although it don't make sense, there's a lot of stuff that, you tend to do and you just like, this just don't make no sense, right? It's because you don't question it. And when people do certain things, you don't want to speak up about it because you're afraid. I told you guys I had a good homegirl of mine, right? And such a lovely person, okay, very lovely, and very supportive. Okay, when I would do videos on Facebook, she always support me. Everything, always commenting. Always she would share my videos and stuff. But I remember this one particular time, she would come over to my house and stuff like that, and I will always be cooking, right, like cooking for my children and stuff like that and cleaning, and she would want to eat, okay, and I was so afraid to tell her, like, damn girl, you want to eat every time you come over. I was so afraid because I didn't want any confrontation. I didn't want to deal with the backlash, okay? But one of the things that I started understanding, and this was after I had my spiritual awakening, one of the things that I started understanding was this. How could me and her be good friends if I'm afraid to tell her exactly how I feel? Like, how could this relationship, this friendship go on if I can't tell her exactly how I feel? Okay. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna tell her how I feel, but honey, I text her. Okay, I text her. And I just, outright told her, I said, it's like every time you come over, you just want to eat, and this is the reason why she's my friend. Okay. She didn't, oh, well, Dina, that ain't true. That's a lot. No, she said, girl, I thought you knew I like to eat. Okay, she's very honest. Okay, girl, I thought you knew I like to eat. Girl, I like to eat. And it was times when, so I was coming to your house, I would ask you, did you want me to bring something? You will always tell me no. Right? And I would tell her no at times. But one of the things that I started understanding was, no, when she asks, do I want her to bring? Say yes. Okay. And so I started saying yes. And so that's what you have to understand. Okay. And this is another thing, because many of us, we are givers, but don't know how to receive. Okay. Okay. And we have to do, we have to, Tony, I done lost my train of thought reading your comment. Um, yeah, so that's, I had to tell her that, and our relationship, it became stronger. But suppose if I didn't tell her, suppose if I say, you know what, and just kept it, and this is another thing, okay. You afraid to tell a person exactly how you feel, but you going and gossiping about the person to everybody else. But you won't tell that person exactly how you feel. And that's not helping you, okay? Because the only thing that person is going to do, the one that you are gossiping to, and you telling them like, oh girl, let me tell you exactly what happened to me and all this other stuff, that person just gonna talk about your situation to somebody else, okay? And you're not going to get the solution that you are looking for if you keep on escaping and running from it. And this is another thing. Whatever you run from, it shall find you. Okay? You may be like, I just don't want to deal with this. what you tend to lack to face, okay, you gonna have to deal with it some other time. You gonna have to deal with it sooner or later. And so I had to tell her, and that was the first time that I ever felt like, well, damn, I'm brave enough to tell a person exactly how I feel. And then another time, okay, with my mama, okay, and I love my mother to the life of me, but I had to tell my mama one time, okay, I was listening to Miss Iyanla Van Zandt talking about boundaries, and I felt like no one ever told me about boundaries, okay? And many of you guys that's on here, probably no one ever told you about boundaries. And if they have, kudos to them, okay? But I didn't grow up learning about boundaries, okay? And so I remember I was listening to Miss Iyanla Van Zandt, and she was talking about boundaries. And you know how your parents, they probably want you to do certain things for them, and you don't want to do it all the time because you have a life of your own, okay? And so my mother, she would ask me, and it wasn't my mother's fault. It was my fault because I should have spoken up. I should have said exactly how I feel, okay? But I was afraid because I didn't want confrontation. I didn't want to deal, with backlash or anything like that. So what happened was, I listened to Miss Yana Van, and she was saying, like boundaries. You need to have boundaries. You need to exercise your no. You need to tell people when you don't want to do it. Don't say yes if you know you really don't want to do it. And so I remember my mother, she would ask me if I take her, shopping or whatever it is like that. And sometimes I didn't want to do it. Okay. Sometimes I didn't want to do it. And I would feel bad. But then I would go ahead and still do it because I didn't want to deal with the confrontation. I didn't want to, I didn't want my mother to be upset with me or whatever. So I would just go ahead and do it. And I never forgot, one day I was talking to my mother and I was telling her, exactly how I felt. And I said, this is why I have boundaries. But I told her and she said, well, Dina, this is your car. If you don't want to do something, you need to let people know. But sometimes people would say that, okay? They would say you need to let people know, but they would get upset. But you can't worry about them getting upset. You can't worry about them getting upset. Okay? Let me tell you something. We are not here, okay, to be doing everything. 1 second, family. To be doing everything that other people want us to do. And you know what? In some cases, in many cases, I'm not going to say some cases, in many cases, people are just reflecting back to us exactly how we are not showing up. Exactly what we are afraid to speak up about. Exactly how we don't take up for ourselves. Honey, I went to Trader Joe's yesterday and got this beef. Korean beef. Honey, this is meatless. I put it in there. I said, what? And then I looked at the box. I said, goddamn. Then you got to pay more attention. Okay? You got to pay more attention to when you go into the damn grocery store. Okay? But yeah, so that's what I really wanted to share with you guys, If you don't start speaking up, and if you don't enjoy your life, someone else surely will start enjoying it. And what do that mean? Well, what it means is if you're doing things for everyone else, chances are you're going against yourself. That's just the bottom line truth. If you being everyone else's beck and call, you just going against yourself. Okay? You're going against yourself. And so how do you start speaking up for, honey, you gotta get uncomfortable. You gotta get uncomfortable. And understand this. You gotta ask yourself, do I want to continuously live my life the way I am living my life? Serving others but neglecting myself. That's what you have to ask yourself. Do I want to continuously serve others and neglect myself? Okay? All right? Let me finish what she says and then, honey, I'm going to go. All this is to say that, and I'm reading from here, you are a badass. All this is to say that it's not your fault. Oh, I read that part. Well, let's read it again. All this is to say that it's not your fault that you are effed up. It's your fault if you stay effed up. But the foundation of your fucked upness is something that's been passed down through generations of your family. Like a coat of arms or a kilo cornbread recipe, or in my case, equating confrontation with heart failure. When you came screaming into this planet, you were truly a bundle of joy, a wide-eyed creature, incapable of doing anything but being in the moment. You had no idea that you had a body, let alone that you should be ashamed of it. When you looked around, everything just was, there was nothing about your world that was scary or too expensive or so last year as far as you were concerned. If something came near your mouth, you stuck it in. If it came near your hand, you grabbed it. You were simply a human being. While you explored and expanded into your new world, you also received messages from the people around you about the way things are. From the moment you could take it in, they started filling you with they started filling you up with a lifetime's worth of beliefs, many of which have nothing to do with who you actually are or what is necessarily true. The world is a dangerous place. You're too fat. Homosexuality is a curse. Size mattress. Hair shouldn't grow there. Going to college is important. Being a musician or an artist isn't a real career, etc. The main source of this information was, of course, your parents, assisted by society at large. When they were raising you, your parents, in a genuine effort to protect you and educate you and love you with all their hearts, hopefully passed on the beliefs they learned from their parents, who learned from their parents, who learned then from their parents. The trouble is, many of these beliefs have nothing to do with who they actually are, where, or what is actually true. I realize I'm making it sound like we're all crazy, but that's because we kind of are. Most people are living in an illusion based on someone else's beliefs until they wake up, which is what this book will hopefully help you do. Here's how it works. We as humans have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Most of us are only aware of our conscious mind. However, because that's where we process all the information, it's where we figure things out, judge, obsess, analyze, criticize, worry that our ears are too big, decide once and for all to stop eating fried foods, grasp that 2 plus 2 equals 4, try to remember where the hell we left the car keys, etc. The conscious mind is like a relentless overachiever. spinning around from thought to thought, stopping only when we sleep, and then starting up again second we open our eyes. So the conscious mind is, what we tend to do is like the action that we tend to do 5% out of the day. Okay. 95% of the day, we operating from the subconscious mind. Okay. In the subconscious mind, in the words of Bruce Lipton, one of the things he says is about the tape. And I told you guys about the tape so many times. You have a program going on in your subconscious mind that in many cases you're not even aware of the programming. You just keep doing the same exact thing. Each and every day you wake up the same, eat the same food, do the same, watch the same exact thing, hang around the same exact people, work at the same exact job. You do the same exact thing each and every day. And for some of us, we have seen that there's something wrong with that. Like we seen life is supposed to be better than this. In some cases, we may have even said, I know I didn't even come here for this. I know I said it. Okay. The truth of the matter is you came here for something so magnificent, more than what you are showing up as. Okay. But you're going to have to go through that programming and you're going to have to unlearn to relearn. Okay. You're going to have to unlearn to relearn and you're going to have to get uncomfortable. You cannot keep allowing the traumas that you have experienced to keep on keeping you in the same exact position, same exact predicament, and keep on receiving the same exact thing from life. Honey, let me tell you something. You deserve way more than that. Okay? And you have to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to face yourself. And you know what? Some people, they benefit from you not speaking up. They benefit from that. And the moment you start speaking up and saying exactly how you feel, or the moment you start, gaining that confidence of, no, you're not going to talk to me like that. They have a problem with that. They have a problem. And I'm going to put myself on blast, okay? I remember my oldest son, okay? And for me growing up, everything was about control, okay? So when I had children, everything was about me being in control. And my children, it's same exact thing, they wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't talk back. Well, my oldest daughter, she would say some words back. And I remember my mother always would say, well, she got to say something back for everything you say. Just shut up, right? And I remember that. And with my oldest son, right, they start getting into puberty and, and so now they start speaking up. And I remember I felt like, who gave you the right to speak up and say something against what I'm saying? All of that is ego and control. All of that is ego and control. Okay. And I was fully operating in ego, fully operating in wanting to be in control. And the question is, I was so out of control. I was so out of line. Okay. So out of control and so out of line. And so it's not for you to beat yourself up, my love. It's not for you to be hard on yourself. It's for you to recognize exactly how you showing up and do something different. But the only way you're going to do something different if you are aware. If you're not aware, you could promise I'm not going to yell at my kids tomorrow. I'm not going to tell, I'm not going to do this. And then tomorrow come, you do the same exact thing. Why? Because it's like you are hypnotized, so to speak. You under hypnosis. And that is the subconscious mind. And not until you get from under that hypnosis will you start doing something different. And that's why I keep telling you guys, get the books. That's why I keep telling you guys to read. That's why I keep telling you guys to listen to the personal development. Okay? Because what it does is it creates this awareness within yourself. But even before you listen to the personal development, it's a part of you within yourself that feels like something is off with this. The way you've been doing things for so long, you feel like something is wrong. I don't know, but something is off with this. And you're right, it is off. Okay, it means that the programming it doesn't work. But it's for you to do something different, and different in the sense where as though it's going to work for your life. All right. And so with that being said, I love you guys. I love you. I love you. I catch you guys on the next one. Rock out. Believe in yourself. Keep going. Keep growing. Until next time. Peace.